I had to dig to find this information on the internet, so I figured I'd make a quick video to show you guys how to put a Weber on your 6-cylinder engine. Now, this is a Ford Mustang. It's a 200 cubic inch motor, which is 3.3 liters, so a lot bigger than what the Weber is meant for. Weber's meant for like 4 cylinders. Every Weber I've ever put on a car has made the car better. That's just the way that the 3236 is. So I wanted to try it on this car, but I didn't really think about the fact that there's so much more displacement, which means more air, which means you need more fuel. But a lot of Jeep guys use this carb on their Jeeps, and so I'm pulling some notes from them to set up my tuning for this carb, and I hope it helps you guys out too. All right, so stick with me here. One of the best things about the Weber is how easy it is to tune, how easy it is to swap out jets and everything. We're gonna run through this process very quickly, and then we'll get to jet sizes and everything you need to make your 6-cylinder work. We're gonna pull the airbox off, and then we will pull off the top half of the carb and get to where all of the jets are. It's very, very easy. All you need is a flathead. I take that back. You're gonna need a 10 mil to get this plate off. I forgot about this plate. So the information that was the hardest to find for me was tuning in terms of getting your jet swapped out. So we're gonna go over that first. And then if you're looking at this for putting one of these on your 200, I can show you all the parts and everything that I use to make it work on this motor. So first things first, we're gonna get this top hat off. There's 6 screws right here, and then there's a little bitty clip down here that will pop off. Be very careful not to drop it. Put it over here, and then that should just lift right off. There's a little rod here that connects to the choke. After you get that clip removed, you have to pop it off. Let's see. And then you can lift the top off. I just flip it over, and now you can see every single jet in this car. Now, if you're going through the tuning process, you're gonna tune the idle first. You have 2 idle jets on either side. I did that and realized how far off this carb was and started digging really hard to find all the stuff that we needed to make it work on this car. But your primary idle's over here. You'll see mine has this big brass fitting on it. This is an idle cutoff. It'll come on your DG-AVs and I think the DG-EV, but it uses a different idle jet. So if you have this, you have to get the bigger idle jet, and I'll show you that. I can just show you that now. If you don't have that, you'll use the same idle jet on the left and the right. This carb operates most of the time in its idle circuit. I've already tuned this jet. I did this the old-fashioned way by swapping everything out. You can see it's pretty fat. If we pull the other one out, and this is the only part that I think could be confusing. That's why I'm talking about it. So this is your standard idle jet. This is the one for the idle cutoff. So you just need to know which one you're ordering. All right. Now, jet sizes. I'm gonna start with my idle jets. Those are the easiest to replace, and then we'll go around and talk about the others. So for your primary idle, you're gonna run a 75. My factory was I think a 50. The car wouldn't even idle, and I just kept bumping up until I hit 75. No, it was a 60, my bad. It was a 60, the car wouldn't idle. I went to 65, 70, and then 75. Now the car idles really good. But then I realized, wow, everything's gonna be off. So 75 on your primary. Over here on the other side, you're gonna run a 65. Okay, so 65 on the secondary. Factory, I think my factory was a 50 or a 55. And to change this, you're just gonna pull out the old one and push the new one in. That's all it takes. Throw that guy back in. You actually don't even need the secondary idle jet for your engine to run. Your engine should run. You should be able to get it to idle really well. The problem I kept running into is as soon as you get on the gas, it just falls in its face. You can drive it around, but it's very unpredictable, very uncomfortable, and very awful. So next is everything else, and I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down. This one's actually silver. It's not the brass. It's the little silver piece down here. That's your pump jet. So when you hit the gas, it squirts fuel out into the carb just to help with acceleration. You have your 2 air, they call them air jets. I think they're called Air Corrector jets technically, but you have air jet, primary air jet, secondary. So primary is all this side, secondary is this side. But primary air jet, secondary air jet, and then down here in the bowl you have your primary jet and your secondary jet. So we're gonna go through and replace all those. All of my jets I got from Pegasus Auto Racing. I'm not sponsored by them. They just are really good for old school racing products, and they have all the jets you need. I had to order a few from eBay because they were out of stock on the air jets, so eBay's a good source too. You're just gonna pay for it. They're a lot more expensive. But Pegasus has some really cool stuff. They make this pump jet, and I'm not gonna be able to show it on camera, I don't think. I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but basically on the factory pump jet, you have a jet here and there's none on this side. In their pump jet, you have one on both sides. Both sides means more fuel means better acceleration. So we're gonna throw this in first. We'll pull this off. There are 2 copper washers that are very important. Normally, one of them stays down there. The other one is right there. So we'll pull the old pump jet off, we'll put the Pegasus Racing pump jet on and right back in. Now, something you'll want to do, fuel can escape between these washers, and you can test it before putting the carb back. So you'll want to snug this down pretty good so that you crush those washers. You're probably meant to replace them, if I had to guess. And then you will fill the bowl up and pump your accelerator pump, and you should see fuel squirt out of there, out of the nozzles, not out of the crack. Squirting out of here, it's not getting into your carb, and it's going to not do anything right. So for the main jet on this engine, we're going to do 160s. 160 mains, 160 on both sides. The factory on this carb, I think, is 145 maybe. So a good deal bigger. A trick that you can use to see your jet size is when you pull them out, you can take a picture with your phone, because the jet sizes are printed on here, they're really, really small. But you can take a picture with your phone, and normally you can zoom in and see the size on your phone. A magnifying glass works too. I just don't keep one of those. And if you're like me and you kind of grew up in EFI era, think of this as base tuning. So you can dial it in further from here, but this is going to give you your baseline. All right, so we've got primary idle, we did our secondary idle, we did our pump jet, the silver one, we did both of our mains that are now 160s. And finally, for our air correctors, that's these two up here, we're going to go bigger on the secondary. So 175 right here, and then a 185 on the secondary. So a couple problems that you have to solve if you're going to put this on a Ford 200 is the throttle linkage and how you're going to adapt it to the manifold. Now, I use this adapter from Amazon. I'll link it below. It's okay. It doesn't require any sort of welding or fabrication, which is good. I think the best move here, if you're going to go to this carb for a 200, is to mill it off and get that full opening of the Weber. Because right now, with this adapter, you create kind of a funnel restriction point for your air and fuel. I feel like, now this is just speculation, but it makes sense to me, that if you open that hole up and put a adapter directly on the manifold, maybe welded it on or glued it on with like a JB weld, you could put your carb in there and you would get the full benefit of that giant opening for the 3236 over the standard Autolite 1100. For the linkage on the carb side, you have to have a ball linkage of some sort. So I just modified the one that was there. I cut the Weber down, flattened it out, cut the ball linkage off of the Autolite, and then welded them together so that I'd have something to connect my rod linkage to. Now, for the rod, it has to be a little bit longer because of the adapter. So what I did there is I just cut it in half, welded on some threaded couplers, and then used a threaded rod at the length that I needed. I do have some adjustability here. I can screw it together or screw it out to get about a ½ inch of adjustability, but if you need it shorter than that, you just cut the rod down to whatever length that you need. It works very well, no play, no issues there, and I'm happy with it. The final thing with the Ford 200 is you got to know if you have a load-o-matic distributor. Now, I didn't know about this until I started having issues with my distributor not advancing the way I needed it to, and the load-o-matic distributor was matched to specific carbs. And basically advances your timing based on a vacuum signal that it's getting from the carb, and it's very specific. So it did not work very well in the higher RPM ranges for my car. I needed a new distributor. I went with an HEI. You can use whatever. I can't really give you recommendations for distributors, so I don't know that much about them, but I can tell you that the load-o-matic does not like when you change your carburetor. So you'll probably need a new distributor that runs on a mechanical advanced system rather than the load-o-matic Ford distributor. Now, I think that's it as far as getting this thing running. I did opt for an electric choke because I just like them. I've got a lot of wind today, so you're going to hear the trees. I just like electric chokes. It's one less thing for me to do when I get in. Just turn the key, starts right up. It's very easy. You tap the throttle when you want the high RPMs to drop, and you're off. So I really love the electric throttle. You have to run switch power from the car into the engine bay and to the choke, as well as if you have a shut-off jet, you have to run one there as well. I just teed them together, ran power to both. It works great. Now, this is just a baseline. It's not guaranteed to work on your specific engine, but it's going to get you running. When I first put this Weber on my 200, it did not run at all. Could not get it to run to save my life. This will get you there. You can drive it down the road. I've been driving mine all over town, and then you can tune from there to try to get your proper air-fuel mixture. I hope this helped you guys. If it did, like it and share it because YouTube likes for you guys to do that. more than anything, I just wanted this information out there on YouTube because I could not find it when I was trying to do this. And there's got to be other people out there that are trying to do this same job. So this is for you. If you want to see more of this build, I have a full hour-long video of taking this from junk to driver, and I'll link that here, and you can check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.